Ever since my very first board ever, I've had this sort of Jaws fascination. It's called a great white because the board is literally a template of the outline of a great white shark. Kind of sharp wing and deep swallow. It looked a little more aggressive, like a great white would. Great white is a performance twin. Go push it.
So we got to start with the obvious question, the great white shark. What is your history with thinking about the great white shark?
Well, I mean, we all think about great whites all the time, especially with drone shots nowadays. And, understanding the migratory patterns of the great whites around here in September, October. There's a lot of them around. And my first surfboard I ever had was made by made in a surf shop in Cocoa Beach, where I'm from, and on the bottom it was the Jaws poster, and it was a shark swimming up to the naked woman. I actually used to be embarrassed walking down the beach as an 8-year-old kid with a naked woman on the bottom of my board, but and that board, I used to get about a board I had that board for like 2 years, and then I think when I was 10 years old, my dad sold it and got me another board, and then I would get about a board every year for the next few years, and so you 10-year-olds with a quiver just settle down. I think I had my second board at 10 years old and third board at 11 years old. So I don't know, I've always had a fascination with great whites for whatever reason, but I had this idea because I used to collect a lot of pictures of great whites, and the silhouette of a great white from above or below, I thought the outline looks like a pretty good template for a board. And my computer skills for shape 3D and all that's not very good. So I was in Bali a few years ago, and Mike Wu and I got together, and I said, hey, I got all these pictures of these great whites. Let's just outline it on the computer, draw up some dimensions, and see if we can make this board. And this is basically the exact outline of a great white back to the wing there.
We have a visual cue here.
There it
is.
is.
A sketch that you actually made. Where were you when you made the sketch? What was on your mind?
I don't know. I'm usually on plane flights or up late at night drawing on things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the idea.
And this kind of has become something of a legend around our office at Slater Designs and Firewire Surfboards. You mentioned that you're not that good on Shape 3D, but conceptually.
But my art is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, look at my lines there.
So this is the launch of our new NFT program. No, kidding, that isn't it. So just moving along here, you mentioned Mike Wu. Here we are, a photo of yourself, Mike Wu at center, operating the computer.
So Mike makes boards for Rizal, who's in the picture here too. And Rizal's an old friend, and he just kept bringing him over to where I was staying, and he's like, you guys should work together, do some boards. So he actually made me about a dozen boards while I was there, but we only did one of the twin fin.
So around this time, you're in Bali and you're surfing a lot. And this is a clip that really has stayed on our minds at Slater Designs, and I want to play this for the audience.
Yeah, this is at Padma, like near Kuta. Just surfing with all the kids one day, and you can see the board just fits in and drives. I mean, it doesn't look like a sliding twin fin, you know. It draws a nice carvy line to it. You can put a lot of power into your turns. But yeah, these were like the perfect waves for this board. This is a little rip bowl with a little current going through it and a perfect little right. And it really felt like the perfect wave for this type of board.
You've surfed the Great White Twin in a lot of waves. These are some clips that I got from your friend Timmy.
Oh, Timmy Toes. Yeah.
So when you look at these clips and you think back to these waves, I mean, how do you describe the way that a twin fin like the Great White Twin feels in good waves, barrels like this? Is it better in barrels, worse in barrels?
It's good. Twins are faster in barrels. I mean, they're just faster down the line, and they're a little bit squirrely, but they kind of float over the whitewater better if you hit the foam in the barrel. And this was a little right in a place called Gili Air. Just a perfect little short right. You could get barrel and come out and maybe do one or two turns. And it was just a few of us in the water this day. It was really fun.
This makes me want to go on a boat trip watching this. So we go to an underwater clip here. You kind of see a glimpse of the fins shot from underwater. You shoot a lot of imagery from underwater showing fins, but I want to pause that thought for a sec while we check out these clips. Again, twin fin, pure twin, excuse me.
Pure, no third fin. I've been riding it both ways, just as a straight twin or with a little sort of guitar pick.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just at Aokai here. And typically I don't like twins backhand, but you can see this board, because it has more rocker than a lot of twin fins, it's really good in the pocket backhand. And there you can see that on that 360 I fell, but you can see that the tail just releases really good.
All things considered, perfect 8-foot barrel or perfect shoulder height beach break. What's the call for the Great White Twin?
Yeah, I mean, the best wave's a little sort of head-high, pockety ripple, right?
Okay.
For me, on my forehand. But I do like it. I even like this board on lefts, which is rare for a twin fin for me.
So here we are with the Twin Plus 2 fin set paired with the Great White Twin anabolic technology with volcanic lamination. Just a short tutorial. You mentioned it earlier. When do you surf it as a pure twin? When do you surf the large trailer? When do you surf the small trailer? Any quick, fast rules people should think about when considering how to set up a Great White Twin with fins?
If you just want a little bit more control, put that third fin in, that little +1. But try it both ways. I don't know. I think it's good to learn a board for all its characteristics with different setups. So.
This is Kevin Schultz. Do we have Kevin Schultz here right now? Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
So we have to give respect to the man when we're in his city. Kevin is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to getting clips, and this is Kevin surfing the Great White Twin. Why did you want Kevin on Slater Designs, and what's the process like with how you guys work together and with Dan Mann, and how does Kevin kind of fit in your program?
I mean, first off, I was a fan of Kevin surfing. Before I knew him, I was seeing his clips from Waco and different places and thought he shredded, and he's like the nicest guy I ever met. Kevin unlocks and kind of learns boards different, similarly, but he surfs more than I do, to be honest with you. And so he tells me, like, if there's a board I haven't ridden in a while, like there's this other board we're working on that I first made like 3 years ago, and I kind of strayed away from it for a little while. I rode it at Surf Ranch in the contest a couple of years back, and then I didn't really ride it for a while, and he started really getting into it and going, hey, there's something about this board. So I've revisited it because of that, and so now we are gonna release that as a model too. But we've had fun playing with different fin setups, and he'll tell me what he's riding, I'll tell him what I'm riding, and we'll kind of try each other's version out and look for those same feels.
Yeah, we should give a shout out to Dan Mann, who works a lot with you both, and he was here, but he had to go to Costa Rica, so he just left LAX.
Just had to.
So onward, you just came back from a trip that we all saw, and I know that everyone has probably seen this, but
it's hard to believe that this thing exists. We knew that if somebody could build something to the best quality, it would be here in this part of the world. So I had an idea what to expect, but to see it in person is a whole different ballgame. I think we've made a pretty spectacular wave here in Abu Dhabi.
all right, I got to ask you 2 questions right off the bat. First of all, explain yourself. What on earth?
Well,
How'd you do this?
Well, I shouldn't have been surfing, by the way, because I had surgery too, like 2 months ago.
We know.
So, yeah, that was like I think I rode like a dozen waves last week over there.
The FRK Plus is the board that you're riding here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
What is it about the FRK and the FRK Plus that makes you so reliably go back to them? They're the only board that stays in your quiver as an FRK file.
FRK has been there since day one for me at Firewire. So it was a board that Dan Mann had made for me, and I thought it was too small, so I left it in my storage for like 2 years. And then when I rode it, even though it was too small really in overall size, it planed fine. And once I got it up on a wave, it was great, and it was amazing at lowers. But I always go back to it. It's just something about the rocker and the way the board fits in the wave. I was riding the Plus here, the squash, but I would have preferred a round tail. I think in the wave pools, I think the round tail is a better board for me, for carving anyways. And it might be different for Waco where you're doing airs, but for just strictly carving, I think the round tail is a preferable board. And I was so jet lagged, I forgot I had one in my bag, so I didn't even ride it. Yeah.
Well, the clips looked fun. To warm us up before we take a couple audience questions, I do want to embarrass someone really quickly. One of the most fun things for us at Slater Designs is taking your concepts, your designs, the shapes that you make with Dan Mann or anyone else, Mike Wu in this case, and seeing how they apply to normal everyday surfers. This is James Hara, who is a Rip Curl employee, riding the Great White Twin.
Yeah,
James,
it doesn't look like you're embarrassing him here. He's kind of shredding. So.
Where do we have James? James, say hello. James. James is one of our very favorite test pilots at Slater Designs. He generally gets boards a little bit early after they go through Kelly and some other team riders. I do want to open it up for a couple questions, if that's cool with you. We have a question right here. Would you like to come up and ask with the mic?
Right here.
Come this way.
How do you like surfing in the wave pool compared to the ocean? And if you had to do one, like for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Good question. I'd choose the ocean because there's just so much variety and so many waves I still want to surf and love. And my favorite waves in the world are in the ocean. But funny enough, Mark Richards, 4-time world champion, has been up to Surf Ranch a number of times, and he told me if he could only surf one wave the rest of his life, it'd be Surf Ranch. So huge compliment for us there on what we did, and so MR just loves it up there. And Jerry Lopez, another huge proponent. He comes to Surf Ranch a lot, and he said it's his favorite wave too. So yeah, but different strokes for different folks.
Good question. Any secret wave pools in people's backyards that you know about?
There actually is one in Connecticut. Yeah. I don't know much about it. I just know it exists. I've seen a couple videos of it. I've seen guys foiling it actually.
Wow.
It's this small pool, but yeah.
Any other questions from the group here before we open this up? Yeah, come up. I'll give you a mic.
We can also hear. You don't have to come up for questions. We can.
I'm going to listen to the boss.
We can probably hear you.
Yell.
As someone who surfs waves all over up and down California, how great is this board as an everyday go-to board?
It's kind of become my everyday board. I mean, I don't know. I'm biased, so you got to kind of try it and see for yourself, you know. But I love it. I like it in really good waves, and I like it in not such good waves. Funny enough, I have not ridden it at lowers.
Follow-up question, because you mentioned surfing waves all over the coast. When's the last time you've run into localism? Does that ever happen to you?
Oh yeah.
Tell us the story. How does that work in your world?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Well, it was my birthday, and funny enough, a friend of mine messaged me about this place today. And he said, "Oh, there's been some good waves up here now that we're getting the winter swells, but it's up on the Central Coast." And I went there on my birthday some years ago. I was driving down the coast on my birthday by myself, and I pulled up to the spot, and it was actually kind of good, but I waited till I was going to wait for the crowd to come in because it was just like about 10 or 12 local guys out, and it's better on high tide, and so the tide was dropping, and the wind turned south and kind of messed it all up, and so everyone started coming out of the water. So I thought, oh, I'll go surf. I waited like 2 hours, and then I jumped out in the water, and there's only 2 guys still surfing, and another guy came out, and he goes, "I just wanted to surf with you," which I thought was kind of nice. And so we just surfed for about an hour and a half, and I came in and my tire was flat. And I always carry a compressor in my car, so before I got my wetsuit off, I had my tire filled back up. But about 10 months later, I was in Panama, and I was at the airport. I was with Sonny Garcia, actually, and we were leaving from Panama, flying back to California. And this guy came up, he said, "Oh, I work with Quicksilver on the Central Coast. He goes, I know who flattened your tire. And I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to figure that out. And he goes, oh yeah, it was so-and-so. So I ended up finding out who the guy was. It was kind of funny, but never seen him since. But I'm sure I'll see him when I go back, you know.
Yeah. You also can hit back pretty hard. You can just geotag someone's spot.
Well, I told him. What I did actually is I texted my friend who lived up there, and I said, hey, listen, just tell your friends next time this happens. I said I showed up by myself. I didn't bring anybody with me. I was like, I didn't even have logos on my board or anything. And I waited for everyone to get out of the water, and it still happens to me. I said, just tell them next time that there'll be 1 million people or more get a surf report every time it's good at your spot. And I said, I don't really care if I ever surf here again. I'll just like screw you guys' sessions up.
Good.
But he's like, no, please don't do that. And I go, well, just please don't flatten my tire again. Like, it's a pretty easy equation.
We had a question over here, yeah.
Kelly, I have a lot of questions, but I just want to say, don't want to ask him, I just want to say thank you. I remember being a little guy, we're about the same age, watching you grow up your entire life, and just being able to be a part of it from a distance has been epic. And so, thank you for the journey, thank you for sharing it. I don't know if it was something that you intended, but it's been awesome to watch it happen. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Look, I love surfing. I love that it's given me an outlet to do this my whole life and do what I love and travel around the world and be in all these communities and see all these things and have these experiences. And I couldn't draw up a better life on paper than what I've experienced, but thanks for saying that. Yeah.
So I really want to call it at that. Great closing remark. Kelly, thanks so much for hanging with us tonight. Appreciate it. Drinks, pizza in the back. If anybody wants a hat, tap me on the shoulder. Thanks. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Kelly Slater.
Thanks, guys. Everything's my favorite ever. I've had this sort of draws fascination. It's called a great white because the board is literally a template of the outline of a great white shark. Kind of sharp wing and deep swallow. It looked a little more aggressive, like a great white would. Great white is a performance twin. Go push it.